Hello and welcome to Calls. This is the 2022 Scottish Open Data Dive Show. Happy 4th of July to everybody. Happy Independence Day to the fellow Americans. If you hear the fireworks in the background, I'll do my best not to get distracted. But such is life when you have a home studio. But hopefully you have enjoyed your 4th of July, grilled out, saw some fireworks of your own or planning to after the show. So thank you for spending the time on your holiday with me. We have quite a bit to get into, more field changes. I did find a little bit more information about the course this week at the Scottish Open, the Renaissance Club. So let's not waste any time. All statistics provided tonight and every night are from fantasynational.com. It is the best tool out there for anything golf statistic and golf gambling related. It's going to make you a much smarter gambler. It's going to make you a much better DFS player. Go check them out. It's well worth your investment. In the description to the videos, there are links to my social media. This is where I post my betting cards for the week in the golf, and then also interesting research that I find throughout the week for golf and baseball content that I create. Did not get a chance to post anything about the Barbasol today. I've been pretty deep trying to find as much as I can about the Renaissance Club, but I will definitely have some information tomorrow around the Barbasol as I prep for the Barbasol full show tomorrow. And then finally, we are live. Chat is open. I want to hear from you all. A big shout out to P, a regular viewer and person who shows live for the chat. Had a fantastic weekend. He was telling me about the lineup that he had that cashed quite a bit in a big GPP and some double ups and whatnot. So congratulations, P, and always let me know how you do, whether it's in the comments or in chat. Even social media. Would love to be able to shout you out like I am P this evening. So with that all out of the way, let's dig into the data for the 2022 Scottish Open. And we come straight to Fantasy National. And there isn't a GCSA tournament fact sheet per se, or a guideline to the Renaissance Club. But I did find a little bit more information. So before we dig too deep into Fantasy National, the biggest thing that I've taken away is I can confirm it is a par 71. So that short par 5 is indeed going to play as a short par 5. So there are 5 par 3s at the Renaissance Club and 4 par 5s. It is going to measure, at least on the scorecard, right under 7,300 yards. I believe the official tally is 7,291. So I have been able to confirm that for you. The Renaissance Club is a Tom Doak design, but he is getting to be a well-known kind of Lynx style architect. But since it is a Tom Doak design, we have nothing architect-wise that we can use here in Fantasy National. Let's see, am I thinking of anything else or forgetting anything else? I still have not been able to narrow down the exact green types. Again, everything that I am seeing would lead me to be bent grass. But if you know and are watching live, put it in chat. The community would appreciate it. I would appreciate it. Or if you're not able to catch live, put it in the comments. But I think I'm going to move forward thinking it's bent. And I know it's not going to be lightning fast, and I'm pretty sure it's not even going to be fast with the way the wind pattern works over in England. The Open Championships have some of the most notoriously slow greens just because of the amount of wind that picks up. And speaking to that, I do have Wind Finder up. We might take a casual glance throughout the show, see if we think we might want to check in on perhaps an early leaderboard or anything like that, tee times, although I don't think those are set yet. But I do also have the PGA Tour field listing up if we want to take a look at that as well. But as you see, we are on the DraftKings pricing page. I'm not even going to fool around with just the field with all of the amount of changes that happen from Saturday evening into Sunday into today. Just going to go to the DraftKings page, and this will even, I'm sure, change between now and Wednesday. But we will take a quick look at a couple of things here that we looked at last night in the initial research show. I've went ahead and set this all the way back to August 1st, and last night I went to July 1st. I did not want to include the Open Championship from last year. The reason being is I want to see who has played since then, and I think it would be wise to just perhaps take a look at Open Championships by themselves to get a feel for stats that are accrued in those weather type of situations outside of other parameters. So we're going to have two distinct viewing type of stats tonight. It's going to be non-European or non-European like weather, and then regular PGA Tour. So with that, I went ahead and, like I said, filtered it to August 1st of last year. I've got it set at the last 36 rounds. I know last night we did 50, but as you can see here, I mean, we have anywhere from 36, and you saw the amount of players that have 0. So we have 36. You have a few guys that maybe have 27, 24, and then you get into a low amount of rounds very, very quickly. So I felt like 36 was going to be appropriate considering how many players have 36 rounds on the PGA Tour. So let's go ahead and sort by strokes gained total. So the top performers since August 1st of last year that are in the field at the Scottish Open this week: Scotty Scheffler, Matt Fitzpatrick, Justin Thomas, Xander, Will Zalatoris, Hideki, Cam Smith, Sam Burns, Keegan, and Corey Connors. So a slight bit of change from going back to July 1st of last year, but mostly the same names. I mean, Scotty Scheffler, the year he's having on the PGA Tour, Fitzpatrick, JT, PGA champion, all that good stuff. So there's a look at that. We also took a look at 72 to 7,400 yard courses, this being right at average. I don't think I'm going to do that moving forward. It was just one of those filters that we could use since there's very little known about the course, or at least per Fantasy National. But what I am going to do, this will give you a sneak peek on what we're going to find in Wind Finder. It's probably pretty well assumed that there's going to be some wind and whatnot over in Scotland. But when I looked at Wind Finder yesterday, the first 3 days were pretty darn calm. Winds in the high single digits to 11, 12 mile an hour, gusts maybe into 15. That's hardly nothing for Scotland at this time of year. So sorry, I just realized I'm a little bit off center there. It was very, very minimal wind, but that forecast has changed. And again, we'll check on Wind Finder periodically tonight. But since August 1st of 2021, your top performers in the wind are Justin Thomas, Cam Smith, Sung Jae, John Rahm, Joaquin Niemann, Cameron Young, Keegan, Alex Noren, Scotty Scheffler, and Mito Pereira. You've got Will Zalatoris just outside the top 10, Hideki, Xander. So those three guys I know were in the top 10 just strokes gained total. So now they're really high up there in the wind. If you want to combine strokes gained total with strokes gained approach in the wind, Justin Thomas, Cam Smith, John Rahm, Keegan, Alex Noren, all of those guys are in the top 10 for strokes gained approach in the wind. You've got Hideki, that's 12th total and 4th in wind. Max Homa 16th total, 7th in wind. So a lot of overlap here quite clearly. I'm going to remove this. We'll definitely be taking a look at some more metrics with the wind, but I went ahead and looked back at a few, or all three, of the previous leaderboards of the Scottish Open at the Renaissance Club, and the more I looked at it, the more I'm pretty confident that this is going to play easy. Even though the winner in 2020, Aaron Rai, shot -11, the cut that year was -1. That's not to say that the course was easy that year, but the conditions really got worse over the weekend. In 2019, Bernd Wiesberger broke the course record, shot 22, I think, 21 or 22 under. And I said last night that he shot a 60 in one of the rounds. It was a 61. But that is the course record for both lowest score on a round and a lowest score for the tournament. So that year definitely played easy. -5 was the cut and 22 the win. And then, like I said, 2020 was -1 the cut, -11 was the winning score, but the conditions really worsened over the weekend. And then last year when Minwoo Lee won, the cut was -3 and the winning score was -18. Certainly not labeled easy, but certainly on the easier end of the spectrum. So with seeing the wind like I have and no rain in sight, these players are be able to adjust into the wind. I think there's going to be some good scoring. So because of that, your top performers when the course is easy or in easy rounds dating back to August 1st of last year. Those players are Sam Burns, Patrick Cantley, John Rahm, Justin Thomas, Cam Smith, Sung Jae, HV3, Harold Varner, Corey Connors, Victor Hovland, and Cam Young. You see here Scotty Scheffler 11th, Xander 12th, so these guys are routinely in the top 15 or so. So yeah, that is some more. It's a bit of a lean, I guess, or a calculated assumption that I do think the course will play easy, or at least easier. We're definitely not going to be looking at difficult. We may look at some easy. I'll probably put something to the effect of 5% in the mixed condition model at the end of it. I'm only putting 5% because I don't want to put too much emphasis into it and it turn out to be, a little bit more difficult than what I'm thinking. It's just a hedge. It's just a little bit of a hedge. Let's see. Something else, again, I can't confirm that the greens are bent, but everything I have seen leads me to think it is bent. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put bent, and I might be using Velcro and average. But before we do that, let's go ahead and see some of these players that have played in Open Championships in the past. Conveniently, I'll just check John Rahm. We'll check the Open, and you see green speed was Velcro last year at Royal St. George's. We go back to the tournament history. Velcro last year, it looks like we don't have anything going back to beyond 2021, but you see here all of these courses are bent when we have the registered green type. Again, can I confirm it? No, but everything that I see and that I think leads me to believe we're on bent. We're definitely not going to be on fast or lightning speed greens. I don't know if I want to put just Velcro. They could be labeled average. So with that, you see here, I'm definitely going to have to expand the filter size here because we only have 3 rounds from players who have been on Velcro or average speed bent greens. So we're going to bring this all the way out. Let's see if January 1st of 2021 gives us more data, and it does not look like it does. So because of this, I'm just going to have to go with all records. The last 36 rounds on specifically Velcro and average speed bent greens. Let's see how far back some of this goes. Oh my goodness, 2013. I don't want to go back that far. Let's see. Looks like Jordan Spieth will have, what's this, 6, 9, 13 rounds if we go all the way back to 2020. Goodness gracious. I don't like going back too far, but we might have to. So instead, what I'm going to do, I'll do this custom date range, and I'm going to do what I normally do when I produce the color-coded charts. I go back 5 years. Just because I don't want to go too terribly far back, let's go to January 1st of 2018. And whatever is there is there. This is how far back I go in the early look files, the comparison course spreadsheets that I put together. And again, just know that there will not be a whole lot of rounds. I'm just going back that far to get an amount that we can study. So with that all said, your top performers, I'm going to have to say historically, all the way back to 2018, your top performers on Velcro and average speed bent greens. Those players are Mark Leishman, Justin Thomas, Anirban Lahiri, Jordan Spieth, Patrick Cantlay, Alex Noren, Sungjae, Matt Kuchar, Maverick McNeely, and David Lipsky. So let's take a look here and see what some of these rounds are. See, Harold Varner looks like he's probably one of the players with the most here. So you have the Greenbrier. That was played in, I believe, July. Because it's no longer a running tournament on the PGA Tour. I believe it was in July in the old schedule. Let's see. So you have the Greenbrier, you have the John Deere from 2018. That had to be average. That had to be average. Yeah. Okay. So average from there. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm going to go back to the Greenbrier leaderboard. That's what I wanted. So those are average speed at the old white. Okay. Let's see. BMW in 2019. Charles Schwab. The Fortinet has done it a couple of times back when it was known as the Safeway. Okay. So at least there's some modicum of rounds here. Nothing specifically overseas, but at least a good comparison. By the way, there's Windfinder. So there's your putting performances that I feel most comfortable showing you. The most comfortable I would be using. I don't know how much putting I'm going to use this week, especially because I can't confirm that it's bent. I can't confirm the green speeds, although my best guess would be Velcro and or average. But I did want to take a look and show you some type of putting data. So with that, I think that's going to do it for the review of last night and this kind of overview page. Let's start really kind of digging into some of this stuff here. Let's go to the birdies and bogeys. We didn't cover any of this last night, and now that we know, or at least I have the inclination that this is going to play easy, I'm going to go ahead and add the easy scoring relative to par filter. Let's just take a look and see who gets the most opportunities, and I realize that I need to bring this back in. So I'll put this at August 1st, and there we go. So your players that give themselves the most opportunities when a course is easy, dating back to August 1st of 2021. Those players are Justin Thomas, Corey Connors, Scotty Scheffler, Hideki, Victor Hovland, Mito, Doug Gim, Johnny Vegas, John Rahm, Sam Burns, Justin Rose, Harold Varner III, and Troy Merritt. So 13 players in the top 10, 5 of them tied for ninth. And I mentioned this last week. I went into some detail about it, and it turned out to be pretty solid in the sense that I wanted to really focus on players that are giving themselves a whole lot of opportunities, but they're not converting. That just means that they need a week with a hot putter, because we know they can give themselves opportunities consistently. So let's take a look at some of those players that we could narrow in on perhaps this week. So the first person that really jumps out to me is Mito Pereira. He is 6th in this field at giving himself opportunities when a course is easy or when a round is easy, but he's only 70th in birdies or better gained. So he is not taking advantage of the opportunities that he is giving himself. And a lot of times you'll associate this with bad putters, and that's certainly a factor. That's certainly a part of the equation. But if a player is just consistently bad, think of Luke List. And even Luke List will convert enough opportunities like he did at the Farmers to win. If a player is just consistently red, and then his spike performances are maybe 0.2 or 1.5, that might be a reason to be gun shy. But take a look at Mito. He has spike performances with the putter. 5.5 at the PGA. He's had 5.5 and 4 at various points last year. So I really like the idea of looking at players like Mito that, as I mentioned, their irons are just immaculate right now. I mean, they're just getting better and better and better. I mean, it wasn't 4.5 at the Memorial, 6 at the PGA, almost 4.5 at the Byron Nelson. He's coming off 2 miscuts, the Travelers in the U.S. Open. But before that, he was coming off 7 straight top 30s. 5 of those are top 5. 5 of those are top 20s. 2 of those are top 10s. I mean, the guy was playing great. And he didn't play terrible at the U.S. Open. He gained strokes relative to the field. So either his putter went sideways on him, maybe he didn't have the best iron week. Whatever it was, I mean, he still gained strokes to the field. He missed the cut at the Travelers, and he was essentially field average, so he's not playing awful coming off of 2 missed cuts. I like Mito Pereira in that sense, that he is not converting the opportunities that he's been giving himself, and he's given himself a lot of opportunities. So that's a very promising combination. Some other players here. So Mito's the only one in the top 10 of opportunities gained that is a big outlier. Some other players here, like Jason Kokrak, 15th in opportunities, but 62nd in birdies or better. You've got Colin Morikawa in that group, Hendrick Stinson's in that group, Keegan Bradley, Mark Leishman, Luke Donald. So these players are giving themselves plenty of opportunities. They're just not cashing them in. Somebody like Morikawa, although his putting has improved, you see just historically he's been a bad putter, and he's been very bad lately. Again, that is part of the equation, but he has spikes, clearly. The guy wins major championships. He has spikes. He gained 7 at the Genesis this year. Gained 5.5 at the Memorial. Gained 4 at the Concession last year. When he is gaining strokes on the field in putting, it might be few and far between, but when he does, he's in competition. His irons are elite, probably the best in the world. So somebody like Colin Morikawa has at least shown spikes with a putter. Jason Kokrak has shown spikes with a putter. At least, maybe not the highest of highs, and then I see an 8.7, so yes, highest of highs. But, 4.5, 4, that's going to easily get it done if you have weeks like 6.5. You gain a little bit off the tee. You can be bad in one of the categories. As long as you're with a hot putter and giving yourself plenty of opportunities, it just takes that one magic week. Let's see, Hendrick Stinson, Keegan Bradley. Keegan Bradley, another great example. He is not a great putter, but he has spike performances. Now here's one player that I probably wouldn't recommend, even though he is part of this group, Hendrick Stinson. You see his spikes, especially lately, has been 1.2, 0.9. You have to go all the way back to 2019 before you have a true spike in a putting performance from Hendrick Stinson. So I'm showing you this because there's a difference between players like a Kokrak and a Morikawa and Stinson. Stinson's just been a bad putter, whereas Morikawa, Kokrak, Keegan, Bradley, these guys are bad putters but have their spike weeks. Stinson hasn't had a spike week in a long time. Good stuff there. Definitely wanted to take a look at opportunities and birdies when a course is easy. The same token, let's do that with the wind. Some players just prefer windier conditions than others. So again, dating back to August 1st of last year, of 2021, your top opportunities gained players in the wind. It's Cameron Smith, JT, Hideki, Mito Pereira, again, Victor Hovland, Cameron Young, John Rahm, Colin Morikawa, Keegan Bradley, and Tom Hoge. So of this group of 10, the players that are giving themselves a whole lot of opportunities, just not cashing them in, again, you have Colin Morikawa, 8th in opportunities, but 87th in birdies or better. You have Tom Hoge, 9th in opportunities, 54th in birdies or better. Aaron Rai, your champion here at the Scottish Open in 2020, 12th in opportunities, but 82nd in birdies. Nick Watney, 18th and 75th. So let's take a look at a couple of these players. I know I've used Hoge a couple of times recently, and it's really backfired. I really liked him at the Travelers. He did not play well at all. But you see, he at least has some spike in him. 4.5, 5, and it happened this year. So another player that is well within reason to think that he could capitalize on these opportunities that he's given himself. Let's take a look at Aaron Rai. Aaron Rai, his putter is all in one spike performance. We covered him last night. But the irons have been great, minus the Memorial, and he still made the cut to a top 30 because he made every putt in sight. So, I mean, the putter is erratic, but that's what you want. As long as a guy is still hitting his irons well, you know, one spike performance. Just imagine if he had gained, I won't even get greedy, we'll say 1.2. Just imagine if he gained 1.2 with that spike performance with the putter. I'll comfortably say he's in the top 5. I think he would have contended for the win. You know, so that's another player. Ryan Palmer, Nick Watney, these guys that just haven't converted. Like Nick Watney here. Now, he did gain 7 at the API, but he has been pretty bad as of late with the putter. Ryan Palmer, I don't think has been historically a great putter. He's been okay on Bermuda, but you know, nothing fantastic. Like 4.5 is his spike. Oh boy, look at this. Brian Palmer might fall in the Hendrick Stinson category here. He had one spike of 4.5, but I mean, there's a whole lot of red here, and that 4.5 is clearly his best. So he might fall in the Hendrick Stinson category there. But anyway, I wanted to make sure I took a look at the players, you know, that give themselves plenty of opportunities, haven't been converted, because I believe that is where you're going to find your values, especially in DFS, and you might find some value in the outright market as well. I'm going to be honest, I haven't looked at any of the odds for the Scottish Open. I put in a couple of quick bets for the Barbasol when those lines came out, because quite honestly, the alternate field events are where you get a whole lot of value. And I'll talk about that tomorrow in the Barbasol show, but I haven't looked at the Scottish odds. So if you have a question, put it in chat. I'll give you my hot take or whatever on it, but I just haven't looked at any of the odds. Let's see. So I think that's going to cover it for opportunities and birdies are better. I think this will be a good time before we go to the next tab, or at least cover it in depth. Let's take a look at Wind Finder for you, since I am using the wind as some of the filters for tonight. And this is kind of what I've seen. Now the wind has picked up a little bit over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I mean, certainly nothing to the effect of what it looks to be like Wednesday. I mean, sustained winds in the 25, gusts in the 40s. This is pretty darn calm, especially Thursday. I mean, you don't even have gusts in the 10-mile-an-hour range right now. And again, we know that weather absolutely won't change, so we can bank on this forecast 100%. It's a lock. But again, what I'm seeing here, or at least what Wind Finder is showing, I mean, you might have a little bit of pickup here Friday in the afternoon, but I mean, even by Scotland standards, this seems pretty mild, and then more of the same Saturday and Sunday. So I don't see a whole lot here yet. Again, if this hectic mess starts creeping into the tournament window, then sure. But I mean, that's what I'm seeing from the forecast so far. So let me close out of that. We'll still look at some wind metrics, but yeah, I mean, you just saw it. There doesn't appear to be a whole ton, especially by Scotland standards. So we come here to the distance and fairways, sand saves. We definitely took a look at sand saves last night, but what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put this on easy, and I'm going to look at greens and regulation when it's easy. And we'll definitely take a look at proximity as well when it's easy, just so that we can perhaps find the players who have struggled with the putter. Maybe this gives them a chance to convert the opportunities that they've given themselves and whatnot. So since August 1st of 2021, in easy rounds, your top performers in green and regulation gain are Scotty Scheffler, Will Zalatoris, Sung Jae, Johnny Vegas, Mito, John Rahm, Victor Hovland, Patrick Cantlay, Corey Connors, and Luke List. Luke List seems like he would sum this up perfectly. I mean, just a bad putter, just all the way around. I mean, you can see that. Look here. Holy shit, I didn't even see this. He gained more than 10 strokes on approach at the Travelers and lost almost all of that back on the greens. That is Luke List by definition. But even when he, I mean, all it takes is a little bit of a spike. And I mean, you might not think 3.5 is a spike. It's certainly enough when you're the caliber of ball striker that Luke List is. I mean, he has the propensity to go out and gain 10 strokes, 4.5, 5.5, and he's with his irons. And I mean, off the tees the same. 7 at the PGA, 4 at the Wells Fargo, 4, a little bit over 4 at the RSM. All it takes is, a 3.7, a 3, combined with a decent strokes gained approach week. That is Luke List, and that's why I wanted to see who hits greens quite a bit, and perhaps the putter cooperates. Obviously, no guarantee. But there's your top green and regulation gain players when it's easy. I'm going to eschew the wind for now, or forego the wind. Let's take a look at perhaps driving distance. If this course does indeed, play like a true links style course where you get a lot of run out, where guys can hit 2 irons, 3 irons, or rescues and get them chasing. Let's see who is the top driving distance player and then who still hits fairways. So since August 1st of last year, Your top driving distance players: Wyndham Clark, John Rahm, Cameron Young, Johnny Vegas, Min-Woo Lee, Kurt Kitayama, Callum Tarrant, Luke List, Justin Thomas, and Jason Kokrak. Of those top 10, only 3 are above field average in terms of fairways, but 2 of them are pretty darn good to very good. So you have John Rahm and Cameron Young. They're tied for second in driving distance. John Rahm is in the top 20 in fairways as well. Cameron Young is in the top 30 in fairways as well. That's why they're 2 of the best off the tee players in the world. And then Jason Kokrak, 10th in driving distance, 48th in fairways gained. 48th doesn't sound like a lot, but it's in the upper third of this field. So, it's not nothing. Keith Mitchell, 13th in distance, 41st in fairways. Only because I see him here at the corner of my eye. Matt Fitzpatrick, very good. He's not elite in either, but very good in both. 17th in distance, 23rd in fairways. So a lot of good stuff here. There's Min-Woo Lee, your defending champion here at the Scottish Open. Let's take a look at some of these other players here. Aaron Rai in 2019. I believe he's going to be pretty far down here in terms of distance. Yeah, so he's 86th. Just know that there's a bunch tied because they just have 0. But tied for 86th, but he's 10th in hitting fairways. So I imagine that was the way he got around the Renaissance Club that year. This will be a bit of a review, but let's just take a look at sand saves, especially since the protection that this course, at least from Pro Visualizer last night, the protection that this course has is apparently the wind and the pot bunkers. So your best sand saves players dating back to August 1st of last year. You have Matt Kuchar, Lucas Herbert, Rasmus Højgaard, Brian Harman, Xander Schauffele, Christian Bezuidenhout, Troy Merritt, Justin Thomas, Rafa Cabrera-Bello, and Tommy Fleetwood. So good stuff there. Definitely going to look in proximity now. Definitely going to look at proximity. We took a look specifically at 175 to 200. Again, per Pro Visualizer, that is the range that I thought was going to be the most common approach shot length. But the more I thought about it today, let's just look at total procs. Because I can't confirm that it's going to be a 175 to 200. I can't confirm it's going to be something like the Arnold Palmer where you just look at 200 plus approach shots. That's just what it is. It's not the John Deere where it's 125 to 150 in the Wedge Fest. Just don't know. So let's just take a look at total procs. And I do want to add a little bit of wind and a little bit of easy, but with no filters, just your total proximity best performers since August 1st of last year. Cameron Young, Justin Thomas, Victor Hovland, John Rahm, Hideki, Corey Connors, Russell Knox, Colin Morikawa, Mito, and Xander Schauffele. Those are your top 10. If the course does play easy, your top performers in total proximity when a course is easy or when a round is easy. Those players are Mito Pereira, Tom Hoge, Alex Smalley, Victor Hovland, John Rahm, Hideki, Colin Morikawa, Joel Damon, Joo Hyun Kim, and Keegan Bradley. So a few new names up here. Alex Smalley, who's been playing pretty well lately, and it started at the Charles Schwab, really. He had missed quite a few cuts. He did have a tied for second at the Corrales, had some middling results, and then Mexico he played well, Wells Fargo, but then he's been much more consistent from the Charles Schwab moving forward. The Memorial was bad, but the irons were fine. The RBC Canadian was really good. He just didn't make a putt. Travelers, it was a bad tournament. Everybody has a bad tournament. I can forgive that one. And then last week at the John Deere was pretty darn good. So I like Alex Smalley in regards to proximity. Perhaps the putter will play up as he's hitting his irons pretty well lately. So there's your top performers in proximity when it's easy. And I will add moderate and windy just to take a look. So your top performers in windy conditions. for total proximity. Those players are Justin Thomas, Hideki, Tom Hoagie, Cameron Young, Keegan, Gary Woodland. I think that's the first time we've said him tonight. Gary Woodland, Cameron Smith, Russell Knox, Mito, and Alex Smalley. So good stuff here. Again, these players that perhaps might have a bulky putter, but if they give themselves, a lot better chances than the others due to the proximity, hey, perhaps some value here. So I think the rest of this is going to be reviewed, but I definitely want to go into it for you all. Not going to have any filters here, but 3 of the 5 par 3s play to 200 to 225 yards on the scorecard. Now, 2 of those are at 201 and 202. So, because of that, I think it's going to be best just to look at par 3s because you have a 148, you have a 160 something, and then a 201, a 202 or 203, and then like a 218. So I think strokes gained par 3 is just going to be the best. So your top performers on par 3s dating back to August 1st of last year. Those players are Luke Donald, Xander, Scotty Scheffler, Matt Fitzpatrick, Will Zalatoris, Keegan, Tommy Fleetwood, Hideki, Justin Rose, and Matt Kuchar. Then we'll move to the par 4s. And because we know that there's only one 500 plus par 4, I think we can focus on this 450 to 500, especially because at the top end of this 450 to 500 range is about 486. I don't see them stretching that into the 500 very much. So the 5 par 4s that measure in this range on the scorecard are probably going to play to this range. And then there's one in this bucket that could fall into here. It's like a 447 or 448. So your top performers on par 4s measuring from 450 to 500 yards since August 1st of last year. Those players are Sebastian Munoz, John Rahm, Gary Woodland, Sam Burns, Cameron Young, Aaron Rai, Alex Noren, Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, Sung Jae, Max Homa, and Jason Kokrak, with those 3 tied for 10th. So a little emphasis on Aaron Rai, his champion in 2020. I don't see Minwoo Lee just out of the corner of my eye, so not going to go too much into dig for him. But there's the length of the par 4s that I think are going to be best, but I'm definitely going to put some value into just strokes gained par 4. So some of your top performers there, you've got John Rahm, who's 3rd, Cameron Young 6th, Justin Thomas 1st, who are also top 10 at 450 to 500 as well. You got Xander 2nd in total, 14th at the range, Connors 9th and 14th, Scheffler 5th and 16th, Billy Horschel 8th and 18th, Hideki 7th and 21st. So good stuff here. And then finally, par 5s. Now that we know that this indeed is going to play as a par 5, yes, 3 of the par 5s do fall into this range, but there is one true short par 5. Let's just take a look at strokes gained par 5. I'm still not decided yet if I want to just focus on this range since it's not encompassing of all of them anymore. So your top strokes gained par 5 players since since August 1st of last year, you got Patrick Cantley, Sam Burns, Scotty Scheffler, Keith Mitchell, Cam Smith, Johnny Vegas, Max Homa, Will Zalatoris, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Matthew Neesmith. So good stuff there. Off to the side here, let me quickly bring up the the leaderboards from these previous years, and we can take a look at them together. So this is the 2019 Scottish Open from when Bernd Wiesberger won. 22 under. It was him and Benjamin Herbert. You see Wiesberger shot the 61. So players that we have seen or talked about tonight, I know Rafa Cabrera Bello, I believe he was in the sand saves. So he didn't pop on much. Justin Thomas has played this event extremely well the 3 years it's been here. Matt Fitzpatrick the same. So you got Thomas a 9th, Fitzpatrick a 14th and a runner-up later. Terrell Hatton has played this event well. Matt Wallace has played this event well. There's Eric Van Rooyen when he was known as Frederick Van Rooyen. Kuchar. Okay, Thomas Peters. So there's a look at the top 20 there of players that are in the field this week and they have popped on some of these filters. So again, just an emphasis here: Justin Thomas, Matt Fitzpatrick, Terrell Hatton, Matt Wallace. Even though he didn't pop on many filters, he has just played this event well. Eric Van Rooyen, Matt Kuchar, maybe Thomas Peters. But now that I think about it, I think Matt Wallace is actually in the Barbasol. I could be wrong about that, but I think he is actually in the Barbasol. So now we go to the 2020 Scottish Open leaderboard, and let's take a look at this one. So this is the year Aaron Rai won. He beat Tommy Fleetwood in a playoff, so at least Tommy Fleetwood has had some success here. Oh, I also had meant to show you the cut line, even though I said it at the beginning of the show. The cut line in 2019 was -5. So before I forget, I'll come show you. The cut was -1 in 2020. So you can see, I mean, the conditions really got tough. I mean, you had somebody that finished at +8 after making the cut at -1. I mean, actually, Chris Wood was -2. So because it's a par 71. I mean, look at Valimaki. He was in contention, it looked like, and then fell off. So it looks like the conditions got pretty darn difficult over the weekend. But anyway, so some of your top 20 performers in 2020, you have Aaron Rai, Tommy Fleetwood, Lucas Herbert. Ian Poulter, to be fair, has played this event very well. 2019 and now 2020, both top 20s. There's Eric Van Rooyen. He's been in both of them. Eddie Pepperell's been in both. Bobby Mack, he didn't pop on any filters that I know of. Benjamin Herbert, second in 2019 in the playoff. Top 20 in 2020. That's pretty darn good. Yeah, okay. All right, there's Minwoo Lee. I just saw him out of the corner of my eye. Sorry. Minwoo Lee tied for 30th the year prior. Let's see. So that's good to know. So in 2019, Bernd Wiesberger won. I wonder what Aaron Rai did if he played in it. So I'm going to cheat. I apologize. Let's do this again. Oh, you stupid. All right, let's look at 2019. Apologize, I just thought about it. Let's look and see if we can find Aaron Rai and see what kind of performance he had the year before he won. Aaron Rai. Well, I apologize. It's probably just going to be easier to search it. So we'll search Aaron Rai. Aaron Rai missed the cut. Missed the cut at -3, so he played okay. But you see, the cut was -5. So, okay. So he misses the cut. And then we just saw Minwoo Lee. He tied for 30th in 2020. So now let's look at the 2021 leaderboard and see what we have here. So there's 2021. We'll just go to ESPN, just clicking on stuff. Oh, that's probably hard to see. No, can't do that. Let's just do it here. Nope. Let's see. Sorry, let me find a site that you can actually see. Maybe this one? Yeah, you can see that. Okay, so Minwoo Lee was your winner. There's Fitzpatrick, Ian Poulter. So 3 straight years here at the Renaissance Club, he has had a top 20, 2 of them doubling his top 10. So that's a name to definitely consider this week. There's Ryan Palmer. There's Lucas Herbert again. So Lucas Herbert has had 2 fantastic finishes here at the Renaissance Club. John Rahm, Justin Thomas, 2 of the 3 years. He's played very well. There's Xander last year. Scotty Scheffler. Terrell Hatton, he's been there 2 out of the 3 times. Burns. Bobby Mack's been there 2 out of the 3 years now. Matt Wallace 2 of the 3 years. Oh, that's 26. So Bobby Mack's been there 2 of the 3 years. Terrell Hatton, I believe, has been 2 or all 3 of the years. Let's see, and then some others here: Justin Thomas, John Rahm, Lucas Herbert's been there 2 of the 3. Poulter's been there for all 3. Fitzpatrick's been there twice. Okay, so I'm going to close this out. Let's come back to Fantasy National, and I'm just going to come to the strokes gained page. We'll just sort on salary. Let's see where some of these guys are priced. See what we can find. Poulter does not seem to be in the field. That is surprising to me. That's what it says here. Let's take a look. Justin Thomas is at 10.6. Fitzpatrick's at 10.1. Who are some others? Lucas Herbert was one that has played here, played well here. He's only at 7,600, so that's a name to maybe consider as you continue on your research this week. I see him out of the corner of my eye here. Tommy Fleetwood at 8,400. Let's see, Terrell Hatton down here, 7,800. He's played this event very well. There's Lucas Herbert. There's Bobby Mack at 7,600 as well. So, good stuff here. Good stuff. Your defending champion, Min Woo Lee, 7,300. Aaron Rai, the winner in 2020, 7,400. Let's see if we can find some potential players in the 6Ks. There's Eric Van Rooyen. He was up there 2 of the 3 years. He's at 7,100. Tom Hoagie popped on a lot of the filters. He's at 7,100. Neesmith was 6,900. He popped at the end. Let's see, any of these others here. I mean, every time I say that I'm backing Russell Knox, he ends up blowing up. So, don't feel great about that one. There's Matt Wallace. Okay, so Matt Wallace, 2 of the 3, and then tied for 26th. He is in the field at 6,700. Very interesting. Very interesting. I imagine he'll be chalky, but interesting to see there. There's Alex Smalley. He popped on quite a few of the proximity filters. He's sitting at 6,600. Let's see, anybody else that jumps off the page? Rafa was in sand saves, but that's about it. But you come down here, you're starting to get players that don't have a lot of rounds on the PGA Tour, so it's really, really hard to analyze them. So you probably can hear it in the background. The fireworks are really starting to go off, but I think that's going to be a pretty good end to the show, to be honest with you. Covered quite a bit. Feel free to reach out on social media for any questions you have. Put it in the comments. I'd be curious to hear from you all some of the players that you're looking at. Were you looking at the same, mid-sevens like I just showed you? Terrell Hatton and, let's see, Matt Wallace was in the 6Ks. Lucas Herbert, Aaron Rai, these other guys here in the 74 to 7,600 range that seem like they could be good values. Are you going to lean into a Justin Thomas or a Matt Fitzpatrick and go up into the 10Ks? Be curious to hear all of your takes. So just a quick reminder for the schedule for the rest of the week. I am doing a show tomorrow, Tuesday. It is the Barbasol full show. So the initial research, the data dive, and the DFS all in one for the alternate field event in Nicholasville, Kentucky. So that show will be tomorrow, 9 p.m., just like usual. And then Wednesday, I am tentatively planning at 9 p.m. because the Scottish Open will be about 3 hours from tee off by the time I get started and get through the show and whatnot. I'm still debating whether I want to move it up a little bit. So again, put it in the comments or reach out to me in social media if 9 o'clock Eastern still works for you, if you would prefer me to move it up so you have time to adjust. I'll be willing to move around my schedule for you all so you can get the information that you're wanting. But again, happy 4th of July. Happy Independence Day to the fellow Americans. Thanks for tuning in on a holiday. I really do appreciate it, as you do all the time. I appreciate all the views, the comments, the support. It means a lot to me. So for any of the wagers that you have made so far for the Scottish Open this week, for any of the wagers you're thinking about making this week at the Scottish Open, and until I see you at the Barbasol show tomorrow night, may all your bets be profitable.